Okay, my friends, once again, it is indeed time to boldly go where most won't dare. And of course, that is into the wonderful world of Hartford politics. I invite you to sit back and relax for the next hour or so as we continue our journey. Get on the phone, call up friends and family, let them know that we're on. We'll be here for at least an hour, I'd say. All right. This is our last broadcast before the election. So, ask me anything. Anything you want on any subject. There's no holds barred. We're talking about the election, of course, primarily. And I guess the topic is standing with Stan. Stick and stay, don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Take this opportunity, by the way, to share the program with friends and family.
Hey, Hartford, Connecticut, I'm talking to you. We gotta get out and vote. Vote for Stan McCauley. It's our time. We gotta rise up and take it back. Vote for Stan McCauley.
Vote for Stan. You gotta vote for Stan McCauley. Vote for Stan.
It's more than politics than just what your social covers. And it ain't somewhere written down in bold letters. Don't just take my word for it, do your research. Think of your future, look at your bigger picture. Suit and tie, clean up, unity for the righteous. Plotting on action, hands on access. With a light source vision, door to door knocking. Guerrilla style marketing, brainstorm as a collective. Real neighborhood suggestions. Only we know what it is where we living. To make real life decisions. Move on facts, make it manifest back.
You gotta vote for Stan McCauley. Vote for Stan. Vote for Stan. Vote for Stan. Oh yeah. Look at your city. Stop. Take a look around. Is opportunity flow into your house? Are you working? Wait, can you save some money? And is your neighborhood safe? Or is it a homicide every night?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of courage. But we can change it. We can change it. We can change it. We can change it. All right. Last program for the, I guess for the season, if you will. If you would like to get on board, by all means, the way we do this is we use Facebook. All right. Now, we are broadcasting live from the greatest city on earth, Hartford, Connecticut, New England's rising star, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Pinterest, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, Also, of course, at accesstv.org. Channel, what? 4? Channel 1? Channel... on a lot of different channels on our own network too as well. So I don't know, but we're on, okay? But if you want to communicate, if you want to get into this thing that we call questions and answers, right here, all you have to do, hello, Raphael, all you have to do is, we're going to use Facebook. Okay, so I use my phone, okay, for the messages. This is how I see your messages. So if you put your messages on, use your phone or whatever your computer is, whatever the case is, then I'll get your message. For whatever reason, and I can't figure it out, when I do the live program, I don't see this. Now, yesterday I played back a program that we did that I was on earlier in the day, and everything came right up. And I'm scared to press any buttons and fidget with it because I don't want to lose the feed. So we adapt. All right, I have to do a test broadcast to figure out what's really going on. We just don't have the time. We don't have the time. We are straight out. The only thing we're trying to do right now is be out there in the community, talking to people, doing all that's necessary in order for us to position ourselves as winners in this race for mayor of the greatest city on earth, Hartford, Connecticut, New England's rising star. So that's what we're doing, okay? Now, so if you have questions, write them down. And I really, really want to answer all the critical questions that you have. All the critical questions. Good evening, Charles. I can't stress this enough. All of you all out there that have doubts, you're right on the edge, you're not sure, ask that on the edge question so you can get an answer. I got a message from somebody. It was a woman. She left a message. I won't mention her name, but she left a message on one of the, in a response to one of the things that's on. We have so much content that I don't even know where it was. I know what it was associated with, but there's so much I couldn't direct you to it. But she said she'd rather stick with the devil she knows than to trust me to do things for the African American community. I was stunned. Obviously, this person is a black female. I don't know how old they are, but they're old enough to remember Thurman, Carey, and pointed to Thurman and Carey, said that Perez did stuff for the Spanish community, and as far as she's concerned, I was going to be like everyone else and never did nothing. And it's been some almost 20 years since there's been an African American mayor. But I guess her misconceptions of what was done, I'm going to pick that ball up and run with it. And that's a serious issue because there's a lot of people who think that way. All right? There's a lot of people who think that way. And, Hartford is a very unique town. It has 76 different ethnic groups. I know we always kind of think about Spanish-speaking people, white people, and black people. And that's basically it. But there's 76 different ethnic groups in this city. And each one feels that they are unique and special, as they should. All right? But the big three always want to suck out all the oxygen in the room. And when you have a big three conversation and get granular, get real, keep it 100, it can get uncomfortable real quick. Because before you can talk about any other community, you have to address the issues within one's own community. And within the community that I am from, the African American community, because not all black folks think alike. They may all have brown skin, but they come from a very wide range of places in Hartford. And how those black people got to, to Hartford is unique. And it all has to do with how they react to and interact in the political realm. Okay? So you could have the original blacks that like generations go back in this town. You have those that came here because of industrialization. You have those that came here because of tobacco and agriculture. You have people who have black skin from the islands. You have people here from foreign countries that are on the African continent. So just because people are dark skinned does not mean that they all have the same life experiences, cultural experiences, a lot of differences, and you have to understand them. Now, one thing that's common among island blacks and black folk from the South, African Americans, is that by default, they give deference to people with white skin. By default, it's the conditioning. It's a cultural thing. All right. I'm just keeping it 100. Because you can't begin to fix problems until you identify what they actually are. To the degree that the mindset of many is that Stan being black can't possibly get anything done because he's black. All right? That has never been something I've heard from any white constituent. This may come as a shock to you, and I talk to lots of people. I know a lot of people. Lots of people. I've never had one white constituent tell me that. I've not had any white people tell me that in my 37 years of being here, and I talk to a lot of people. I don't mean like in the high tens. I literally talk to thousands of people in this city. I've been in this city for 37 years. I wasn't born here, but I've been here long enough, and I've talked to so many people that almost, not quite, but almost, if you look up Hartford, you're going to see my picture there. That's how long I've been in Hartford. That's how long I've been involved in the lives of the people of Hartford. That's how long I've listened to people confide in me about all kinds of things that I can't even begin to forget. I can't unhear stuff I've heard. And I've never heard anybody white tell me that somebody black can't run the city. I'm not saying that there aren't those who believe that. I'm saying no one's ever told me that. But black people? Oh, the number of black people that I've heard tell me that? I lose count. That is a pathology. It borderlines almost on self-loathing. See, that's a subject I can talk about and get away with. A lot of folk can't have this conversation. They can't even bring the subject up and get away with it. I can. So to the people who think Stan can't do this, vote for Luke. You think you're doing so good now? Vote him back in. I mean, really, that's simple. That's your option. Those are your options. I've sat in rooms full of people in 2015 told me things were going to be profoundly different with the current administration because they was going to bend over backwards doing things for black folk. Fast forward, here we are today, crickets. And some of those same people are ready to double down, hoping things will change when it is crystal clear that if you reelect the current mayor, he's going to double down. I'm telling you right now. I have tape of me telling this city what would happen if they elected Eddie Perez mayor in 2007. I have tape telling the people of this city what would happen in 2011 if they voted for Pedro Sagata to be mayor. I have tape of me telling the city what would happen if they voted for Luke Bronin to be mayor. And I'm telling you right now, so that it'll be on tape, what will happen if you reelect him. So you all are going to have to take a chance. I could tell you right now, there are very few individuals in this city who have given over $1 million in-kind television production to the residents of this city like I have. Yet there are still some people that question whether or not I really will be try to do something for black folk. It's always interesting. Stick and Stay. We'll be right back with your questions. You know something? Hartford's strength is the people. They're independent thinkers and love their city. So how did Hartford fall into the hands of rogue policymakers? Well, to start, this rogue group spent nearly $1 million putting themselves on the inside and leaving you out in the cold. What if I told you that $5 can be the difference between a Hartford with hope and vision or a Hartford that is in perpetual decline, increasing crime, and an educational system going nowhere fast? Your $5 contribution to our team is a statement that you are investing in Hartford's future. Your $5 contribution to McCauley for mayor will make you a member of the team, and together we will explore the possibilities. More than that, you will be demonstrating that Hartford's people are ready to make a stand with Stan. Our goal is to get the support of 5,000 people who live, work, and play in Hartford. I'm asking you to make a bold statement by contributing $5 right now, today. If you believe in Hartford and its people like I do, make that contribution. And together we will show Connecticut that the people of Hartford care enough to do our part. We are ready to pick up the ball and run. The people of Hartford are back in the game, and we're in it to win. My name is J. Sam McCauley, and I approve this message. Okay. Now, I don't want anyone to think for by any stretch of the imagination that I think that that's how what's going on. Oh, by any stretch of the imagination that I think that that is indicative of quote unquote black people, because it is. This is indicative of her. She only operates and speaks for herself, not everybody. But she is typical of some people. That's how they think. They don't know no better. They don't know no better. I'm like little children scared of the dark. Here's what it is. All right, so you have to help the child work out that whole head thing about the dark. But it's real. It is real. It is real. It is real. Now, independent thinkers are inclusive. We include everybody. And over those 37 years of working with people in this city, the greatest city on earth, New England's rising star, Hartford, Connecticut, over those 37 years, my takeaway is that there are brilliant people in this city. In every economic class, in every racial class, in every cultural class, you name it, whatever group we're talking about, there are brilliant people in it. There are brilliant young people. There are brilliant people whom some would classify as homeless, chronic homeless. All right. I've had conversations with people about how to fix the problems within the shelters. The problem is that they're the end user of the product. Therefore, everything that they say falls on deaf ears. To the degree that if they even present those solutions to some of the operational components or staff of the shelter, they'll wind up on the outside looking in as punishment for presenting a better way to meet the needs of the very people who are being served by the agencies that are supposed to be in service to a group of constituents who are down and out on their luck. And it has been my observation that that's what happens to everybody. Whether they have PhDs, if they've got a solution for a problem in this city, they're going to come up against a brick wall because there are powers that be who love the status quo. Some of them love the status quo because the status quo keeps the block of cheese that comes to them all the time flowing. Others, because they're just ignorant, don't know no better, and are afraid to try something new. Others, for legitimate reasons, they've been let down so many times in the past. So rather than to have hope so that they could be let down one more time, they'd rather not have any hope at all. And these are some of the real critical issues that the next leadership faces as we try to knit together the dynamic fabric which is Hartford, so that we can build one Hartford community. Not like just one Hartford as a marketing ploy or a pitch. One Hartford that is intentional and respectful of the gifts, the wonders and talents that we each bring to the table that we call this great city. One of the important components of my 5-point plan is working outside of silos. Working outside of silos. I wish I had like all of the details of it in a visual form that I could show you. I might be able to use this. I think this has it. Working outside of silos. Because we don't have it in a format that I can put up on screen. You know? I mean, that's not true. I mean, I actually could put it up on screen, but it would take a whole lot of doing, and we don't want to create opportunities for technical difficulties. So let me take these out of this huge book. This is the book of all of the ideas and stuff that's been condensed into the programs that we have into the 5-point plan. These are details. These are the details of the 5-point plan. All right, or let's do it this way. These are the details of the 5-point plan. From the structural breakdown of the city. All right, to, I mean, you know, this is it. There's, I don't know how many pages. This is ridiculous. Okay, it's ridiculous. This is into the weeds. It started off with one sheet of paper. Now look at it. These are the details. People say, well, I want details of your 5-point plan. No, you don't. Otherwise, you would call me. You want to argue about why you don't think it'll work, but you don't really want the details. Because if you wanted the details, you would have called. My number is the most published number of any person that is, a public figure in the city. I can count the number of people who have called me about the 5-point plan to talk about it in depth on two hands. So for all the people that complain, that's all they want to do. They want to complain, and that's cool. All right? But there's a lot of detail. It's not something you can write down in a Facebook response. Give me some details of your plan. Well, let's sit down and have coffee. I don't need to have coffee with you to understand what your plan is. I read it. No, you didn't. No, you read a synopsis. You read not even the executive summary of the plan. You read like just a basic boom boom. But the plan is detailed. But let's go over like the bullet points, if you will, of priority number 3, which is mission-driven collaborations working outside of our silos. Because, Hartford is a city of silos. These silos are like little fiefdoms. Everybody's got their own fiefdom, whether it's a department, whether it's a nonprofit agency, whether it's, one side of the street versus the other side of the street, whether it's the lower end of the street or the upper end of the street, whether it's this community over that community. I mean, I was at a community event in one part of the city. I'm not going to talk about what the event was because I don't want to get anybody upset with names and people trying to back engineer who I'm talking about. But I was in one event where the quote unquote leader of that entity wouldn't let another leader of the entity have a seat because they didn't have a ticket. They're supposed to be working together. Different parts of town. Silos. And people protect their silos. So people protect their silos because they think that there's something that they can either lose or won't gain. That kind of an attitude is usually consistent with somebody who is it's consistent with individuals who are dealing with scarcity. You get that kind of like, mine. So there's people don't want to share anything because there's really nothing to share. So everything is so scarce. Everything is so lack of that the idea or the notion that someone else might come and take your cheese is extremely frightening. Because if they get your cheese, they're not going to give it back and you'll be out. on the outside looking in. Right? So you can see how lack relative to plenty affects individuals and communities in a negative way. But a community has to be more than selfish individuals. All right? Did you know that community, in order for there to be a community has to be three basic things, all right? It has to be self-educating. Right? Self-educating. This is why, by the way, it's so hard for me to do 45-second question. I could pause for 45 seconds. I joke with people. I say, 45 seconds is barely enough time for me to pause for the sake of making a dramatic statement. You need time to pause. Reflection causes the viewer to think. And so, that's difficult to do when you got to give a whole answer in 45 seconds. When like 30 seconds is a good pause. All right. So community, you have to have what? You have education. Right? So is it self-educating? Does the community educate itself? Is it self-police? Does it police itself? And is it self-sustaining? So does the community have the capacity to sustain itself economically? Is there a component that sustains it? Because everyone in the community's got to eat. And generally people eat with the money that they make, and they buy things. They buy food, they buy goods, services. All that happens, and then the community becomes self-sustaining. Or does your community receive some sort of assistance from outside? See, once your community starts receiving assistance from outside the community, it's not your community. It's the sustainer's community. You just happen to reside on a plot of land that the sustainer takes care of. You are subject to the will of the sustainer. So you have to be afraid, you have to be worried about whether or not the sustainer might take away your block of cheese. Already, right off the jump, right from the rip, nonprofit agencies are highly susceptible because they are not self-sustaining. They're sustained by the largesse or goodwill of other people outside of the agency or those that the agency serves. So if government starts doing the sustaining, then your agency gets co-opted because you need them in order to survive. And then they start holding resources back from you if you don't acquiesce and do what they want. But if you were self-sustaining, it wouldn't matter what they say. This is the problem when folk in communities start to be capable of not needing other folks. They start to break loose and actually do stuff. It happens with people at work. People at work, they can't open their mouth. They see injustice. They see wrong. They keep quiet because they don't want to lose their job. They got to send the kids to college. They got a mortgage to pay. So they toe the line. Silence. Stay in your lane. Don't talk about change. See, there's some people that if they would even suggest that they were going to vote for Stan McCauley out loud, they're scared they'll lose something. Some privilege points, some access to. They don't want to be on the outside looking in. That takes great courage. Great courage. All right? So a community is self-educating, self-policing, and self-sustaining. Do you educate your own children? Do you educate your children? Is Hartford educating its children? Now, while Hartford may have the capacity and the ability to develop curriculum, right now, kids, I don't care how good the attendance has grown, the kids ain't learning nothing. by and large, right? So if only 1/3 of the kids could read at grade level, that's a problem. Every child in Hartford should be on grade level for whatever grade they're in, period. If they're in the 12th grade, they should be at the 12th grade reading level. I mean, that should be a given because they're our kids. We want them to excel. We want them to be able to compete in the wonderful world of work where there is a lot of competition with a lot of other people to have access to resources that are limited. How can you compete in the world if you are not ready for the game? And since government is set up to protect the God-given freedoms of human beings, the human beings in Hartford who have a municipal government, the government is there to protect their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Government has been established to protect that for them. So in what way are we helping as government individuals to attain these things? Quality education. That's my first priority in my 5-point plan, to realign our priorities. Education. So if you have, a community that doesn't police itself, then the police department becomes an occupying force. I mean, it's the department working with you, which is why the dynamic of community policing is so important. Community policing is critically important to community development. Without community policing, you can't have a development of the community because a community is self-policing. So if the police aren't working with the community, where the community really is the police department and the quote unquote authorized enforcers of the law who are employed by the community have the power to arrest individuals in the community who are agitants and disruptors that the community recognizes and sees. They work together. But if the community is disengaged from the police department, then the police see everyone in the community as a potential suspect. And once they see everyone in the community as a potential suspect, they start treating everybody like they may be a suspect. They're no longer working with the community there. Now they are occupying and maintaining, as though they're troops that were dropped in from by parachute into a war zone and must occupy and maintain the stronghold. That's not a good thing. Hello, Sister Lorraine. All right, that's not a good thing. So you can see where the community is very dysfunctional. We got to work outside of our silos. Mission-driven collaboration, working outside of our silos. Multiple efforts to address the health and well-being of the city of Hartford residents and neighborhoods are happening across a multitude of organizations in isolation. Areas such as housing, healthcare, education, job readiness, business development, to name a few, are all linked. Most are measuring their potential impact using different metrics, leading to little progress toward the goal of creating a vibrant city and thriving communities. This lack of communication coordination across the city makes it challenging to assess the impact of initiatives and programs. This makes it difficult to prioritize needs and leverage opportunities. I believe in taking a proactive and purpose-driven approach to citywide collaboration across sectors, education, philanthropy, corporate, small business, and community. I'm going to work toward a holistic approach. These aren't promises that I'm making. My 5-point plan isn't a promise. My 5-point plan is the philosophical approach to how I work to get things done. To me, it's axiomatic or I guess it isn't self-evident because it's not something that you see or that's in play yet. But I mean, it's like saying, well, I intend to cross the street by foot when the light changes. Oh, here we go with those false promises again. Always talking about what you gonna do. I ain't seen you cross the street yet. I mean, that's pretty much the way it rolls out. All right. I mean, how else are you gonna get across the street? Someone gonna come pick you up, carry you? I mean, to me, this here is as natural to me as crossing the street when the light changes. It is a methodology to get from point A to point B. And said methodology depends upon who the individual is running the thing. You bring your work ethic to whatever it is that you do. This is how I get stuff done. I have very good friends who operate in total different spheres. All right. I have friends who I help get things done, and when I'm working with them, I keep my mouth shut. I wouldn't do it the way they do, but I'm not in charge. They are. So I can carry water, pour water, boil water. All right. That's not my water. Now if it's my water we're moving, that's a different subject. I choose to do it in an effective, efficient way as I define effectiveness and efficiency. And anyone that's going to help me has to help me, not work against me. I have the vision. This is the way I want to do it. When we move your 20,000 gallons of water, however you want to do it, you want to do a teaspoon at a time, I'm good. That's not how I would do it. But I said I would help you. You got me for 6 hours. You want me to take it one spoon at a time? I'm good. Okay? I've gone to meetings and said that at the meeting. All right? I'm here to help you do whatever you want. I'm not going to say nothing else for the rest of the meeting, but my name is so-and-so. I am good at carrying water. All right? I really don't like the back and forth on how we're going to move the water, but I'm here to help. And so you see me here, it's because I want to help. Assign me a task, and I'll do it. I'm good. I absolutely don't have to be in charge. Okay? I don't have to be in charge. But as mayor, I'm in charge. So how would you go about getting the thing done? How would you go about how about that? Look at this. It's working. Well, how about that? It's working. Well, that's good. That's real good. See, what appears here is totally different than what's in my phone. Or is it? Yeah. Yes. See. All right. Well, I can roll with that. That's good that that's working now. All right. I'm going to work toward a holistic approach to an effective poverty strategy by imploring our institutional and community leaders to deploy themselves in a much bigger and meaningful way. Now, we have poverty in the city. We have a serious homeless problem that is emerging. Okay. I don't remember a time in my stay in Hartford, in my almost 40 years of being in this city, I do not remember a time when I saw people sleeping on the street. I know that there's a whole community of people who sleep under the bridge. But I can't remember seeing people sleeping on the sidewalk on Main Street across from the mayor's office, on churches 1 block north, 2 blocks south of City Hall, and other areas around the city. I get around, but I never remember this like it is right now. And there could be many factors toward why that is. But what's being done to mitigate? And I'm not trying to suggest that the current administration isn't doing anything. I'm simply saying that if there's a problem, we need to resolve that problem. Working outside of our silos is going to be necessary to deal with that issue. So when we talk about effective poverty strategy and imploring, our institutional community leaders to deploy themselves in a much bigger way and meaningful way, no single institution can fix Hartford alone. No single man or woman can fix Hartford alone. No single mayor has all the answers or the solutions for Hartford. I'm not sitting here trying to pretend like I have all the answers. Quite the contrary. You all have all the answers. Together, through this office, we will fix the city. Because my focus and intention is on making Hartford the greatest city it can be for you. If it's great for you by default, it'll be great for me. My rationale and reason for being mayor isn't so that I can hand out contracts to friends, family, and anybody might come along and want to pay to play. I'm not trying to run for mayor so that I can move up the social ladder. I'm not running for mayor so that I can look good going to whatever conference is going to be coming up next. I'm not running for mayor so I can have it on my resume so that I can get a better job or a better position. I'm not moving up the political ladder of, I don't want to be a U.S. congressman or a senator or governor or president of the United States. It's not that I lack ambition. It's that I'm in service to people. I like serving people. I like helping folks. I'm a philanthropist. I like to give things and help people and see the response of them being able to do better and see their dreams come to fruition. That's what I like to do. And as mayor, I can do that. And I'll be good. I could be mayor for the rest of my natural life. All right. To me, success for me in the office of mayor is, will I get reelected? Will I get reelected? And I'd run the campaign the same way I ran this one. Minimal crew of dedicated individuals who within their own right could just as easily be mayor. All of them. The people on my team could all be mayor. They're great people. They're great. I have a team that will stop a freight train. All they have to do is get on the track and look at the freight train and stop. They stop so fast that the engineer would come out the front glass. The train would stop. That's how bad these folk are. They're great people. The 100 people who would stand before the election began. I had people tell me, well, they're just standing with you now. They don't really got your back, Stan. You know, they don't really believe in you. They don't believe that you can actually become mayor. Most of them just don't want to tell you no. They like you too much. They think too highly of you. They don't want to be disappoint you. You know, so, you know, the question isn't if they're standing with you now. The question is, will they be standing with you in the end? And the answer is yes. With the exception of 4 people, one person, I won't mention who it is because I don't want to give their name away. Well, that's not true. I will tell you who it is, because they're not. I had to take their picture down. Okay, the current president of the NAACP, Greater Hartford chapter, was standing with Stan from the beginning, until the day that she was sworn in as the new president of the NAACP. And then she called and said respectfully, I have to ask if you would take my picture down as somebody that's standing with you, because in my position as the president of the Greater Hartford chapter of the NAACP, I can no longer have a political alliance, and the appearance of that would be would be unacceptable. And I said, I have no problem whatsoever, and I thank you. 2 other people went and were with Eddie Perez, because at the time he was not running for office. And they respectfully asked me and told me, I do respect, I had no idea that Mr. Perez was going to be running for office. He decided to get in the race. I've been a long-time friend of his. I believe in him. I think he would be the better candidate. And so I'm going to go stand with him. That's good. That's it. 4 people. That's it. 4. The other 96 still standing with Stan. Now imagine that. And that's the original folk that came on board before I made my announcement that I was going to run. We have great people. Great people. That want to see change and believe in the change and believe in the possibilities of how we're going to go about doing it. And so running for reelection would be done the same way. Because the highest calling anyone could have is to do public service, because the people have to vote for you. If the people don't vote for you, then you don't belong there. You shouldn't have to buy people's votes. Okay, so if you have a government that people are buying access to, how much do you think they really care about you? That's the ridiculous eye blink to kind of initiate that. Are you kidding me? Okay. So, if I raised $1 million to put me in office in a town where I'm not from, I mean, really? What does that say to the people of the town? I mean, what does that say? What does it say to have somebody that can lead your city, who has the capacity to raise $1 million from people who are exceedingly wealthy, but they've never raised $1 million to help out local charity? I've given over $1 million in in-kind services to community groups all over the city. I don't even keep count. I don't even keep count. So where's the proof of the love for the city before? And I'm not doing this to dog anybody out. I'm simply suggesting that you all need to demand better. That's really what I'm saying. You need to demand better, because until you start to demand better, you won't get better. Until you demand better, you won't get better. When unified around common goal, once isolated initiatives become collaborative powerhouses. As mayor, I will do the following as it pertains to our number 3 priority, which is working outside of our silos. Mission driven, purpose, intentional, working outside of silos. I'll bring together the different community and organizational stakeholders to ensure we are communicating and working in partnership on a realistic and integrated picture of a healthy Hartford. Okay, a healthy Hartford. The city is not healthy if it doesn't police itself, if it doesn't educate itself, and if it has no ability to be self-sustaining. As long as we have a municipal oversight review board, we are clearly not self-sustaining. We are clearly not self-sustaining in any zip code in this city. Not one. Not one. If we had 25,000 different, houses in this city, of dwellings in this city, I would venture to say that they're probably undervalued by at least $100,000. That's $2.5 billion. 25,000 times 100,000 is 20. Alexa, what is 25,000 times 100,000?
25,000 times 100,000 is 2.5 billion.
$2.5 billion. I would venture to say, and I'm being conservative, that Hartford's housing stock, the dwellings, are undervalued by $2.5 billion. That means that is not reflected on the grand list, because the entire city is redlined. Now, we know that the 06120 is redlined, but guess what, my friends? The 06120 being redlined in a city the size of Hartford means the whole city's redlined. That means a lot of y'all that have property up in the West End, your West End property is undervalued. You can't sell it for what it's really worth, because if you just drag that property across Prospect Avenue, it would increase in value minimum $100,000 a piece. Units. Average. And people want to know where, how can we increase the grand list? You want to know how you can increase the grand list? Get rid of redlining. But if you do that, it might economically impact other communities that may not like the fact that Hartford's property values just went up so much. And it's hard to do land banking if you've got property value that's too expensive. People may never want to buy it. All this is done at your expense. At your expense. At your expense. And we have a young lady talking about she doesn't want me to become mayor because she thinks I will throw the African American community under the bus. So she'd rather stick with the current administration. Very little reasoning to that. I don't know. Pathology. Every bad political decision is made by a politician elected to office. So if you think your vote doesn't matter, just remember this. There are people sitting with politicians in a back room making deals about your future, making policies about your children, making decisions about your neighborhood. To them, you are just a vote. You are not their charity. You are not their cause. you are just a vote. Elections have consequences, and if you don't vote, you are actually voting to keep these people in power to work against you. Now, more than ever, you need to make your vote count. It is time to clear the air and vote for a mayor who is unbought, unbossed, trusted, and accountable to you, the constituent. My name is J. Stan McCauley. I am an independent thinker, and I approve this message. I'm asking you for your vote on Tuesday, November the 5th, 2019, in the general election for mayor of the city of Hartford. For more information, visit McCauleyformayor.com. Declare your independence from the plantation of party politics and free your political mind. Oh, yes. That's what we're trying to do here tonight, and of course, every night that we are on the air. And the name of the program or the episode is Ask Me Anything, even though I'm doing a fair amount of rambling off at the mouth. I can get a little bit preachy, but, I apologize. Hey, if you have a question, comment, or criticism, by all means, write it down in the comment section on Facebook. I don't monitor the comment section on YouTube. Okay, so you can't. I don't look at the YouTube comments. I don't look at the comments or tweets. Right? I don't look at comments in LinkedIn. The only place you can make your question known is on Facebook Live. And you can do that by going to Facebook and going to J. Stan McCauley. You can go to McCauley for Mayor. You could go to Hartford Dwellers. You could go to where they do that at in the city of Hartford. You could go to onehartford.com. Okay, there's a lot of places on Facebook where you can join this broadcast, and then you can share it with friends and family. There's actually lots of places you can do this because we've got viewers all over the place, and they share it and they email it and they have instant message. So I don't know where it is, but I do know where you have to go if you want to have questions or comments, and that's right there. All right. And so when you type them in there, I will see them, and then I will respond to them. I'll read them, and we'll have a monologue because after a win on November the 5th, this medium becomes your portal, your access to me as mayor, and we'll do this at least once a week in an effort to provide transparency and accountability, and we'll have a call screener to make sure that people that get on, we can get back to. I need it. In order for me to take calls, I've always done it this way for some 38 years of broadcasting. As long as I have the number of the person, I can talk about anything. They can ask me any question. All right. I'm not obligated to answer every question, but you can ask any question. All right. With the internet, it is very difficult to make sure you have the right number because people can do the spoofing. They can be anywhere in the world and make it look like they are calling from across the street. I mean, they can even make it look like they're calling you from your own phone. So we need to know that this is truly who we're talking to. That's why I need a call screener, not to screen you out, but to clear you through. And I can't do that as well as manage the systems that are necessary to do the show. All right. So after the election, with a victory and a serious upset, we would then have the call screener, and that would be the case. So today's the last episode of a broadcast we're going to do before the election. So let's take a look at some of these questions here. All right. If every Hartford resident would read and watch every part of the 5-point plan, that McCauley has established and published publicly, they would have no doubt we have the best interest, Hartford's best interest in mind. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you go to McCauleyformayor.com/plan, or if you just go to McCauleyformayor.com and click on 5-point plan, it'll take you to the 5-point plan. The 5-point plan is all laid out. And then there are videos to how the 5-point plan was developed. If you really want to get into the weeds, I mean, we thinned out some of the videos, but if you really want to get into the weeds, for those of you that like to get granular, you could see how the 5-point plan was developed with the citizens of Hartford live on this program starting back in January of this year. So when I talk about a willingness to work and empower you all, that's not hype. It's real. I'm telling you what we've done, what we did, what we accomplished. That's why there are people standing with Stan, and many that have the courage to do so publicly, because they're part of this overall, for lack of a better way to move it, to call it a movement, to reclaim our rights as citizens of Hartford, to hold our government accountable. We don't need to impeach the current administrator. Vote. It's a whole lot easier than anything else. Just vote. Vote. I know people who are, pardon the term, hell-bent on doing whatever they can to make sure that the current administrator is out. I've gotten into arguments into the night, 4 a.m., talking to people about, don't you want to get rid of Bronin? We got to do whatever it takes. We got to do whatever it takes. We got to work together. We got to get rid of him. Will you take a chill pill and relax? So I'm not running because I'm into this anybody but Bronin thing. I fundamentally disagree with how he manages and goes about that. Other than that, but I fundamentally disagree with many of my friends on how they do what they do. I'll help them. I don't have to agree with the way they execute whatever task is assigned to them to help them. I can help them. I'm not responsible or in charge. Okay? But I hear people talk about what the city needs. And I think I can execute what I've heard for 37 years and provide the vehicle necessary to give these people voice. And so, as mayor, that's what I intend to do. It's drastically and dramatically different than what the current administrator is doing. That's all. Other than that, it doesn't matter to me. But there are a lot of people who are just, oh my goodness, it's a whole lot easier to just vote. Just vote. Just vote on Tuesday. And the funny thing is, you listen to them talk, and some of them say, well, I don't know how you're going to win. Well, I'll tell you how I'm going to win. You vote for me. Now, all this talk about how we need to get rid of the current guy, but they don't think that I can win, so they may not vote for me. They're going to vote for him. That, my friends, is delusional thinking. There's something wrong with the capacity to process rational information and come up with a rational solution to a very fixable problem, if that's what you honestly believe. It's like wanting to go to the moon and then working to get to the moon. There's totally different things. Totally different. I'm in television production. I've talked to thousands of people who want to do a TV show. But out of those thousands of people, there's, a couple hundred who actually are willing to do what is necessary to have a television show. It's a lot of work. I don't know if you can hear the reckless driving outside my windows. Okay. Check out that 5-point plan online. Read it and watch the video. Now, there's probably, admittedly, 10 out. This is me looking at my wife. I see you, honey. Sweetness. Is the sign still there? The sign is standing strong. Brother James. The sign is standing strong at the 50-mile-an-hour gale force wind in front of my house. Okay. My wife is checking on the sign. All right. We have people on our team. Now, Brother James is the master of the signs. He is not in town, but he is working through me from way across the nation to make sure that the signs are deployed. So he's really the person who's putting out the lawn signs. We have a whole strategic deployment of our lawn signs via map. I sent him a map of where the signs are going to be. I'm putting the signs out, my son and I. This is the kind of mayor you all have. All right, so I'm out there in the rain and the 50-mile-an-hour wind just before I got here, putting the lawn signs strategically placed around the city. They have to be certain height. They got to be level across the top. This is serious business, folks. I'm serious, but the signs are standing strong. My wife was standing. You all kind of have to be in the seat. I digress, but she was standing right there. And as long as I've been in broadcasting, anytime my wife gets into my peripheral vision or direct line of sight, it throws me off. It throws me off. She cannot be present in the studio because I cease to be able to function right. Okay. Hey, Stan, I would tell that lady to keep the same energy when you get elected. Oh, the shock on her face when that happens. Yeah, she's not going to be the only one. There will be some people that aren't shocked. I'm not going to mention any names before. I should write down on a piece of paper the names of the people who will not be shocked that I won. Seal it with with one of those with wax seal, and then mail it to somebody to mail it to someone, and then after the election they can open it up and see the names of the people that won't be shocked. All right. But the names of the people that are going to be shocked, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And it's going to be, I'm telling you, those people that were in the strategic room, okay? In the strategic room, because we do have a strategic location where our master plan exists. It's on a wall. It's on a wall. And but it is not at our headquarters. Our headquarters there's no strategic or logistical information anywhere in the building. As far as we're concerned, the building is bugged. So, there's nothing in that building that lends itself to any understanding of the strategy involved in our campaign. But there is a place where all that exists. And that place, if you were around the table at that first strategic meeting, and there are 3 people, about 3 or 4 people on the planet who have heard the plan on how we were going to win from day one. And everything has gone according to plan except the victory. Everything. Everything. And as I have said to them, anything short of total victory, I was wrong. The plan is not genius unless it works. Period. You know, getting 100 votes short is a loss. It's not a win. Oh my goodness, look what you've done. You almost won. This is unbelievable. You should be happy. It's not a matter of being happy. It's a matter of being right. I don't like being wrong. All right. I don't like to be wrong, and there's no one that I blame for being wrong except myself. And so, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Like the Washington Nationals. We'll see. The beginning of the series, you know. Houston Astros. We'll see. If somebody got a plan, someone isn't going to win. There's going to be someone wins and everyone else loses. Someone's going to win and someone's not. Someone's going to come in second. Someone's going to come in third. That's a given. I want to be the one that comes in first. Because a win for McCauley is a win for Hartford. The people win. And understand, while there is a plan, the plan is dependent upon other elements. Like, I couldn't execute this plan by myself. There are other people who have been involved in this. Some of them know who they are. Others may not have a clue who they are. But there are strategic components of our victory that are outside of my realm of control. I will tell you this, we use a distributive leadership model in order to execute our plan. Our team is bulletproof. Absolutely bulletproof. And it is impossible to identify and neutralize the members of our team. There's only one person on the planet that knows every member of the team. Me. I'm the only one that knows all the members of the team. There are members of our team that don't know each other, who work with one another unaware that they are part of the team. So, you know, you have no idea how much I want to win. I remember when Kerry Prevost said, well, Stan, you have other methods and avenues to do this, to make a statement. I'm not trying to make a statement. I'm not running for principal. I'm not running trying to make a statement. I am running to win. To me, this is like a Super Bowl that we have been prepping for the last 12 years. Nothing short of total victory will I be satisfied with. I cannot state that enough. We are here for nothing less than victory. So confident are we in victory that we've appointed a transition team. Some might call it arrogance. I call it confidence in the plan. That's why we have stayed true to the plan. Because if the plan's going to work, it's going to work. Even when it looks like it might not work, stick to the plan. That's when it looks. Let me tell you something, folks. The reason you make a plan is for the days that you don't think it's going to work. Now, if you come up with a plan that you're sure is going to work, then you don't stray from the plan. That's where the plan works best. When you think it's not going to work. When you think it's not going to work, what do? You turn back to the plan. Team members will question the plan, as they should. They should question the plan. Because the biggest part of leadership is that the leader has followers. Now listen. This is why leadership is so dangerous and why people don't like it. People who follow the leader choose to do so, and the leader-follower relationship changes as the movement goes forward, or as the initiative goes forward, or as the campaign goes forward. In any campaign where there is a leader, the follower often takes the role of the leader in a particular area. Do you understand what I'm saying? No follower is bound to do so. Followers can leave at any time. Once they lose confidence in the leader's ability to meet the objectives, they walk. That's why you don't have leadership in the workplace, because they can't afford to have half of the employees leave. So you have managers. This is a huge problem in Hartford. There is no leadership because no one wants to be accountable and responsible for the failure to deliver something that requires people to follow the leader. The current administrator can't even keep staff. Had 22 people already? 22, 24 people quit since he's become mayor? You can call it whatever you want. Well, they're moving on to this, that. No, they no longer work for you. That's because there's no leadership capacity. People are trained to be managers, best policies, practice, and procedures, and then they do, and that's all they do. If there isn't a procedure, then they don't know what to do. Oh my goodness, he said something mean and nasty to that woman. I don't know what should we do? Well, there's no policy. Well, if there's no policy, should we say something? I don't know. Better not say nothing, because it's better to just not say nothing. Well, how are we going to handle it? I don't know. If he says something else, I don't want to step back to be under investigation or a lawsuit. I think maybe we should just transfer him out of the department. Yeah, that'll be good. Well, he's going to push back if we transfer him. That could be a disaster. Well, we'll just give him a raise. We'll give him a raise and transfer him out of the department. Okay, that's the best thing to do. Let the next department handle it. And then that's how people handle problems. So pedophile administrators who principals at school wind up becoming like section leaders for a whole division of educators now, because no one had the courage to do anything about it. And then scared to fire somebody. My dad's coming up here to help with the campaign. I will never forget. He was the director of maintenance for Altair Airlines. That's not like cleaning the shop. He was the guy was responsible for making sure that all of the aircraft were well maintained and stayed in the air for Altair Airlines. And I'll never forget, I was with him as a kid. I don't know how old I was. I must have been 12 or 13. I don't know. We were at Philadelphia International Airport because that's where the hangar for the airline was. And I remember being with him, going to the airport on several occasions, and I would be in the shop, and it was always fascinating. And, it was cool because you were at the airport, and it was glitzy. It's the airport, and there's the planes are in the hangar, and there's little jets and turboprop engines and all kinds of other stuff. And the airline was owned by this billionaire, and, it was kind of like a toy for him, but, Altair Airlines. Look it up. You'll find it online. Google it. So nonetheless, I remember him saying one weekend that he had to go to work because he, something. And he said he had fired this guy. I said, well, why? I don't even think I understood the concept or the dynamics of the impact. I understood someone getting fired, but it didn't resonate like what it means for a person to lose their job. He said he couldn't come in. I said, what do you mean? Well, he said he had someplace else to be this weekend. He wasn't going to be able to make it. I said, you fired him? He said, well, I need him to come to work. If he can't come to work, then why'd I hire him? He's making me look bad. If he can't do the job, then I have to find somebody else. So why don't you go do what it is you have to do? And I should have known better. I think that's where I get that from. I think I get that from my dad, because my mother was much. It's as though he doesn't. I've never seen him angry. I've never seen my dad angry, and so I guess I actually probably do get that from my father. My mom is much too compassionate. She was really nice. My mom was a nice woman, and she was very compassionate. Always took care of kids. Disadvantaged kids would always come home. She'd bring them home for the weekend, and we would, stuff like that. But, I digress. But firing people. Fired. You're fired. Your services are no longer needed here. That's something people need to hear these days. And guess what? Work ethic would change. The quality of the end product would change. If teachers could get fired, things would change. All right? If administrators who watch teachers could get fired, things would change. Okay? Because accountability doesn't exist if there isn't a consequence for bad action. If bad action is rewarded, then there is no reason for people to do anything but whatever the ham sandwich they want. And now system gets corrupted, breaks down, it becomes dysfunctional. And before long, that corrupted system starts to permeate other systems next to it. And then before long, you have what we have now. Hartford.
How do you define evil? Is it the pedophile school administrator or taxation without representation? Is it the gatekeeping community leaders who sell out the very people they are fighting for? Or is evil the politician that puts out lies and takes in cash? However you may classify evil, having to choose the lesser of two evils still leaves you with evil. Nowhere does this rule apply more than during an election for mayor. Choosing a candidate that is the lesser of two evils still leaves you with evil. No wonder so many people don't vote. It's time for constituents to flip the script and vote for a mayor you can trust. My name is J. Stan McCauley. I approve this message, and I am asking you for your vote on Tuesday, November the 5th, 2019, in the general election. I, like you, am an independent thinker. So let's sit down and talk about my path to victory and why my plan for Hartford will work. Stop listening to the uninformed evil interests that tell you I can't win. For more information, visit McCauleyformayor.com. It's time to leave the plantation of party politics and free your political mind.
Free your mind. Free your mind. Free your mind. Oh, yeah. Free your political mind from the plantation of party politics. If anyone tells you I'm a Republican, just look at them and walk away. Tell them that amount of that kind of ignorance shouldn't be rewarded with further conversation, and then just walk away. Because if they tell you that, that means they are politically ignorant beyond measure. Any elected official that tells you, well, Stan's a Republican, ask them how they got elected. And ask them what do they know about redlining in Hartford? Because there's no way you can be elected to office in this city and not know that I'm a Democrat.
To not know that is to display gross ignorance beyond measure. You can't even measure that amount of ignorance. If an ounce of ignorance, if you could quantify ignorance in terms of space, like volume, okay? If you could quantify ignorance in volume, ignorance would be 1 square foot, a cube. 1 cubic foot of ignorance. If it weighed, if it had the weight of a sun that has collapsed in on itself and created a black hole and could fit in that box, that would only be like a grain of sand on the beach of all the oceans on earth. The amount of ignorance that they have if they tell you I'm a Republican. Any political operative working for any candidate that tries to tell you that I am a Republican is ignorant beyond measure to the degree that they should stop functioning as a political consultant of any kind, because they don't know the first thing about politics if they tell you that. Any news outlet that tells you I am a Republican is guilty of but one thing, and that is fake news. You heard it. All right. Because they haven't done their homework, which means that they are intellectually lazy and should forfeit any semblance of journalistic integrity if they report or tell you that I am a Republican, because I am not. And it is not fair to the Republicans to call me a Republican. And it is just patently untrue. I have been cross-endorsed by the Republicans. As such, I will be on the Republican line, but I am the Democrat that was cross-endorsed by the Republicans, as was Pedro Segura in 2011. They did what the working families do all the time. They cross-endorse people. Now, the working families cross-endorses people all the time, and people are on the working families line. Doesn't mean they're a working member of the working families party. The working family party just endorsed that person. The Republicans endorse me because they think that my 5-point plan will move an agenda forward that they believe is sound enough to get my endorsement. Or, I mean, for me to get their endorsement. They also believe that I will treat everyone in the city as constituents, not as a member of one party or another party or one group or another group, but rather as constituents. Not gay, not straight, not black, not Spanish speaking, not Latino, not African, not African American, not West Indian, not from Montserrat, not trans, not Q, not plus. I mean, just right, constituent. Not Christian, not Muslim, not Hindu. Constituent. Not Klingon, not Romulan, not from Ferenginar. Okay, for those of you who think that, the Star Trek universe is real. And no, constituent. Everyone's going to be treated like a constituent. And Republicans will actually be able to serve on things like the Board of Education, because they're people who love the city, right? Why shouldn't they be allowed to serve? So if you have a mayor that looks for quality and competent people in all areas, imagine what we could have in this city as it pertains to boards and commissions if the people who actually want to serve, because they're going to bring something to it, are allowed to serve, as opposed to a mayor who makes every decision being appointed
to a board or commission a political decision so that the boards and commissions actually accomplish nothing. It's your city, my friends. It's your government. You're the constituents, and you deserve to be treated like one. And in the McCauley administration, that's exactly what it'll be. Independent thinkers are Puerto Rican, Mexican, Peruvian, Indian, Bosnian, Italian, Irish, Jamaican, African American, European, straight, gay, Nigerian, transgender, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, short, tall, skinny, rich, poor, happy, sad. Some of us hold a PhD and others a GED. And though we may be Democrats, Republicans, or members of the Working Families Party, we all have escaped the plantation of party politics and become independent thinkers because we as individuals are more than a party. You see, independent thinkers come from all walks of life, and the one thing we all have in common is that we love, live, laugh, and learn in the city of Hartford. We are the constituents, and the government of Hartford belongs to us. My name is J. Stan McCauley. I'm an independent thinker, and I approve this message because it's time to stop towing the party line and vote for a candidate you can trust. I'm asking you for your vote November the 5th, 2019 in the general election for mayor of the city of Hartford. For more information, visit McCauleyformayor.com. You too can escape the plantation of party politics if you have the courage to free your political mind. Oh, yes. All right. Having more fun than political candidates running for office should be allowed to. It's warm. Warm. 80, dude. Let's turn it. All right. Turn on the air conditioners. It gets warm in the studio. Gets warm. All right, let's get to some of these questions here. All right. Mr. Harrison says here, who else but J. Stan McCauley would offer a live call-in show to the office of the mayor at 550 Main Street? Can you see this as a vehicle for regular folks to create a live consensus of discussion among the quote-unquote silos and many followers through all of your neighborhoods? Yeah. You know, the live call-in program allows people to not only communicate with each other, but to communicate, with your mayor, but beyond your mayor, with each other. Okay, because people would call in, but people are also doing this. Okay, they're also talking to each other, and because they're talking to each other, now people can have conversations one with another, and you start to build community. I cannot overstate that enough. I don't care how well the city does economically. The city is more than an economic equation. And the next administration needs to be able to pull the city together. And an inability to pull the city together means that the city goes nowhere fast. Because despite the best efforts of the brightest minds, the current undertaking to gentrify the city will fail. It's going to fail. Because there's too many people here in Hartford to put somewhere else. So it will fail. So the only option that is left is how do you increase the economic viability and vitality of the people who actually live in Hartford. That's not to say that we can't do other things that are going on in the city, but you can't do other things going on in the city at the expense of the people who actually live here, who actually are impacted by every decision. They can't just sit on the sidelines and watch everyone else come into Hartford and play, to come into Hartford and prosper. Well, they're fed rations or crumbs from the table of the downtown restaurants that are swept up and doled out. That's not going to work. So the next administration has to be intentional on delivering a functioning community around the urban core that we call downtown Hartford. Without that, Hartford will not prosper. And as goes Hartford, so goes the region. And so if the Council of Government, the Regional Council of Governments has any hope of being successful in their regional plan to revitalize the region, you have to make Hartford work. Otherwise, as goes Hartford, so will go the region. It's not rocket science. It is not rocket science. May I point out to you for your consideration the current opioid crisis. You cannot contain the issues that are in Hartford. You cannot wall them off and pretend they don't exist. Because what happens in Hartford impacts the surrounding community. The good, the bad, and the ugly. It impacts the surrounding community. You may not want individuals, I'm speaking to the suburbanites, you may not want the individuals that negatively impact your community, so you send them to Hartford. But the same thing that you think will negatively impact your community is impacting Hartford, which is at the hub and the core of the very community that you say that you want to maintain. It will come back to bite you. So why not get it fixed once for all, right the first time? And everybody grow together. Poverty is negatively impacting Hartford, and as such, it negatively impacts the region. Then we can begin to have the discussion about regional approaches to solving the economic despair that the whole state of Connecticut is in, and how we get there. Yeah, they spent $8 billion on one day today, Halloween, but there's no money for other stuff, right? It's like the priorities of people is like way off. Alexa, how much money was spent on Halloween?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
All right, well, that's good because we don't need to digress into that. Having these kinds of conversations in a forum that happens on a regular basis, once a week at least, allows us as a community to begin to have conversations that will become something more than conversation. The conversations become action. That's wind. I thought that was rain. It is like seriously windy outside. The ability to have these kinds of conversations will render solutions, and then those solutions can be put into action. And there's a multitude of ways that we can put them into action. Whether it's something that's done through the local legislative body that we have in our city council through initiatives, whether it's something that's done by community groups. We start to leverage all of these different silos, all these entities, all these institutions, and we work together to move an agenda forward that's going to bring Hartford to where it needs to be. That's not utopian. It's how things should run. It's a shame that when things run right, or the discussion about something running right, that people consider that to be, utopian thinking. All right, lost the place here. Okay, let's get caught up here. If you care about the quality of life as a Hartford resident, exercise your given right and privilege to vote based on your active participation in your city government. What is your plan to get people into high-paying jobs in the city? And how will you get businesses to come back to the city of Hartford? The way you get businesses to come back to the city of Hartford is you make Hartford a destination for business. It is not the mayor's job to find jobs for people. That is not the mayor. That's not any mayor's job. It's not the mayor's job. Okay. The mayor can be instrumental in creating the atmosphere, and I think that my 5-point plan does that. Because if you look at my 5-point plan, you understand my 5-point plan. You know, education, youth is first. Second is communication. You know, the ability to communicate not only between me and you all, but also between departments and between other things, which moves us to the next level where we talk about silos and intentionally working outside of the silos. And then you create an atmosphere. Once you get past that, now we can start to work on the thing that's really hindering Hartford's growth, and that's crime. Right? So if you have public safety and quality of life issues off the chain like they are in Hartford, where individuals are afraid to come out and cross the street for fear that they may get killed because there are more vehicular homicides in Hartford than there are shootings. The likelihood of you stepping off the curb and getting killed is higher than you getting shot. All right? So if you have the quality of life so severely diminished, all right, and being a clergyman, at the forefront of the cause of a lot of this stuff is the church. Okay. What is the church doing to help underwrite opportunities for economic development within the communities where they sit, in that literally hundreds of thousands of dollars flow through their non-tax entities, yet there's no capacity from these institutions who have great economic wealth to stimulate economy in the communities that they are in? There's no one else being elected to office that can have that conversation with the ministers of this city. No one. No one. No one. And not only the city, but in the region. No one. So you all have to ask yourself, do you really want change that's going to move the city forward, or are you just want the perfunctory okie doke because you like to complain? Is the block of cheese you get for your little community nonprofit more important than moving the city along? Is being able to cheese, have the mayor buy you drinks at a cultural institution that might be on the edge and in back taxes more important than seeing the city as a whole move forward and prosper, so that the schools that your children go to can be better schools? Or would you sell out your children and their education for a bowl of porridge and a drink with the mayor? Don't challenge me on that in public. If you challenge me on it in public, I'll name names and do it on the air. If you see me and you're angry about what I'm talking about, keep walking. Smile in my face and keep walking. Do not challenge me on this. Whether you like it or not, folks, I am the singularly most connected person in this city. I keep my mouth shut, because most of the stuff that goes on is none of my business. But make no mistake about it, there is no one running for office right now who knows more about what's going on in this city than me. Past or present mayors included. So City Hall can be very instrumental in creating a climate where business can thrive and grow. But let's talk about the downtown supermarket that everybody wants. You know, there's a thing called shrinkage. You know what shrinkage? Alexa, what does the term shrinkage mean?
Shrinkage is usually defined as the act or fact of shrinking, drawing back, as in retreat or avoidance. For more, ask me to give you more definitions for shrinkage.
Alexa, give me more definitions for shrinkage. Alexa, give me more definitions for shrinkage.
I have 5 more definitions for the noun, shrinkage. 1. The amount or degree of shrinking. 2. Reduction or depreciation in quantity, value, etc. 3. Contraction of a fabric in finishing or washing. 4. The difference between the original weight of livestock and that after it has been prepared for marketing. 5. Loss of merchandise through breakage, pilferage, shoplifting, etc.
Number 5. The loss of merchandise through breakage, shoplifting, pilfering, and straight out old-fashioned inside theft. Okay, so you know, if shrinkage for a company, you know, like a retail outlet is high, insurance is difficult. So if you have high crime in terms of theft off the shelf at the supermarket, because the supermarket is serving people who are trapped in a cycle of poverty, then it's very difficult to meet your profit margin, which is pennies on the dollar, if a supermarket is downtown serving some of the most needy people in the city. So it's hard to get insurance. There's a lot of reasons why there's no supermarkets in Hartford, but the number one reason is because it's not profitable. Now, it's blowing 50 miles an hour out here, but I guarantee you one thing. You want to get some drugs, you go right up to the top of that street, and guess what? They are there because there is a profit to be made. Where there is money to be made, there will be human beings out there trying to make some money. And I'm here to tell you, if supermarkets were a big money-making business, you would have them all over the city. All over. They'd be all over the city. Same thing with bodega. You think if a bodega wasn't profitable with the products and the merchandise and the drugs that they move, with the products and the merchandise and the drugs that they move, with the products and the merchandise and the drugs that they move, do you think they would be open? Of course not. Real talk. So if we want businesses in Hartford that are going to employ large groups of people, one, we have to have an education system that makes our young people employable over young people elsewhere. We need to have people who understand that if you cannot come to work, pick up the phone and call the employer. Don't just assume that because you didn't come, he should automatically know you wasn't coming in. That's real. That's real. Because for young people to learn that, they have to do something after they get out of school to go learn that, because they don't learn it in school. Work ethic. There are a lot of things that need to be done, and that's what my 5-point plan approaches. I don't believe that fixes are one-off items where we click this and click that and click this and click that. We need to reset the system so that Hartford becomes a vibrant town that everyone wants to come to. Businesses clamoring over coming to Hartford to the degree that they will do whatever it takes to get in here, not having to incentivize them. That's the case right now, but we can change that if we work together and are intentional about making that change. There's nobody coming in the city of Hartford on a white horse going to change stuff. Because the key to changing Hartford is what I've been talking about since the very beginning of this campaign. Y'all, it's your government, it's your city. You're the ones that have the answers. And the reason it hasn't worked is because you haven't elected a leader who is willing to put it all on the line to give you a voice and make your voice and your dreams, hopes, aspirations, your desires, wants, and all those things a reality, using the tools of your government to make it happen. There's no one else running for office, for mayor, with that vision for this city. There's a couple city councilors who actually have that vision. They actually do. Pleasantly surprised, but yes, they actually do. I've heard them. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but I've heard them. I mean, if they came out publicly and endorsed me, I would tell you who they are, but we're not going to go down that road. All right. We got a plan for that too. We got plans for everything. That is true. Because it's all encompassing. You know that at the end of the day, you know the number one plan is to make Hartford a competent, workable city. You know, it's like having a plan to make pheasant under glass. You know, how's this kitchen going to produce pheasant under glass? All it takes is the person that understands how to make it in it. You know, what is the kitchen's plan for producing chocolate chip cookies? The kitchen has no plan. It's just a tool. It's the people in the kitchen, right? Government is a tool. My job is to manage that tool so that it can deliver what you, the constituent, wants. Right now, that tool is delivering what special interests outside of the city want. What special interests inside of the city want. What royal families here and abroad want. What special unions or groups want. Everybody has a want, everyone has a need, and they're eating off of your tax dollars and off of your capacity to have the government working for you. If government spends 1 hour with them, that's 1 hour less that they can spend with you. That's how you think of it. Time is money, right? Time is the most important resource you'll ever have. It is the most important currency on the planet. That's why I have this, and that's why I carry an hourglass with me everywhere I go. Although it isn't with me now. Although that's not true. I do have my backup hourglass right here. Here it is. All right. This is 3 seconds. Your time's up. Time is valuable to me. I know I got but so much. All right. Everyone has but so much. Point unto man wants to die after that judgment. So everybody has a modicum of time. Some people got more time than others, but when it runs out, it's out. So what you do with your time is very, very important. It is the most valuable thing that you will ever have, and anybody that's ever listened to me talk knows that that is how I process things. I could care less how much money one makes off of a thing or how much it costs. To me, it's the time. This is going to cost me time. Is it worth my time? So this undertaking right now, this running for mayor, is very, very important to me. I've invested 2 years of my life for what's going to happen on Tuesday. I doubled down and put everything on the people of Hartford. I've told folk, I have folk that highly doubt me, but I've told folk that the people of Hartford are awake. The people of Hartford have vision, and the people of Hartford will do the right thing. Now, we'll see. We'll see. I put my money where my mouth is. I put my time where my mouth is. We'll see. There's others who agree with me enough to volunteer their time. Our campaign is all volunteer. People have called me up and said, yeah, well, I'm an expert canvasser, and I'd love to work on your campaign. Could I come down and talk to you at your office? I said, well, our whole campaign is volunteer. What? It's volunteer. Everybody. There's no one on our campaign is getting paid. Click. Hello. Click. Just gone. Hang up. If you could be paid, you could be bought. The reward comes at the finish line. That's not hyperbole with me. Anybody that's ever worked on a production with me, and I've been on productions. I have full catering staff and food to eat, this, that, and the third. You work on a production with Jay Stan, you don't eat till we're done. I've done 15-hour shoots. You lucky if you get a bottle of water. Ask anyone that's ever been on a production with me. I have a very good friend of mine, Joe Young. Joe Young's been on production with me. Joe will tell you Stan has never fed anybody on a production. You work on a production with Young Studios, it's top flight. There's food, there's catering, everything's done as like it's all like it's union shop. Everything is done correct. I mean, there's the staff. I mean, Joe's top of the line. Very professional. Okay, so if I do stuff with Joe, I do it Joe's way. I don't ask no questions. I do what I'm told. I don't talk back to the director. I don't talk back to the executive producers. I don't talk unless I'm spoken to. I know how to behave on a production set. Okay? He's in charge. Whoever he appoints in charge, I don't have no problem with that. Okay, Joe's one of my best friends. Now, if I'm doing a shoot, we do it ask people. I fire folk from productions. I fire folk for having wrong attitude. Get out, huh? Bye. So, everybody has their little quirks. So when I tell you that, the pay comes on this side, the reward comes on this side, that's just how I am. I know people need to eat. But, I'm warming up to the idea I've just warmed up to the idea of food at meetings. Ask my wife, she'll tell you. Or anybody who's ever worked for me on staff and having a meeting. Although that's not true. Now, when we had staff meetings, I always had good food. But I'm not a big fan of the community meeting where everyone eats before we actually get actual work done. I like to work. I digress. I'm sorry. I want to get done so I could go eat because I'm hungry. All that talk about food's made the mayor-elect hungry. Okay, so Stan has my vote. He has seen what has happened here since the 70s. Well, thank you, Raphael. Stan, do you have enough boldness to become mayor? Yeah, I don't know how to answer that, Brother Donald. I think I have enough boldness, but that's not up for me to decide. I have enough boldness to be mayor, but in terms of becoming mayor, the only thing necessary to become mayor is people vote for you. I have enough boldness to tell people once I am mayor. I mean, being in the office of mayor, doing the job, the boldness is not. That is. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. I'm the guy that never has to raise his voice. I only need to look people a certain way, and they understand real quick. That's all. There's a look. I've never seen the look because I can't see myself, but I'm told there's a look. And so whatever that look is all that's necessary. All right. There's no grocery store in my neighborhood. Let me click on the more first. Okay. There's no grocery store in my neighborhood. I was so hungry. I brought a loose Newport and a nip from each package store on each corner before I got to Save a Lot. Hiccup. A nip. Oh, I got you. Yeah. And I forgot what I needed to get. That's too funny. All right. So what she's saying is, in her neighborhood, and I know this is absolutely right, before she could get to the grocery store, before she could get to the corner store, the bodega, because the grocery store in her neighborhood is closed. Okay. But before she could even get to the grocery store, when the grocery store is open, on each corner there's a package store. There's plenty of package stores, but no grocery store. Now, the package store can make money, but the grocery store can't stay open as a result of a multitude of things. So this is what I have to say when it comes to the grocery store, because this is an ongoing debate in this city over the food desert. You know, who profits from the idea, the notion of a food desert? Downtown development is what profits. And until someone can explain to me elsewise, that is my permanent stance. So that's my view, subject to being changed after showing me substantive, quantifiable data, not a sales pitch. Data. All right. Not the past and what failed. Data. 1. Grocers want to make money just like anyone else. 2. Does the grocery store need to be economically incentivized in order to stay open? 3. If the grocery store needs to be economically incentivized to stay open, in what way can that economic incentive go to the grocery stores that are already open? How can we make those entities better? 4. If those entities have out-of-date and spoiled products, then is there a way for our Department of Public Health and Licensing and Inspection to do their job? To put leverage on them to do right by the constituents and the customers that they serve. 5, will the new grocery store negatively impact the quality stores that are trying their very best to do an item and stay in business, but because they don't have the capacity to buy in bulk like some of the bigger stores, their prices are a little bit higher? Now, the reason why some of their prices might be higher is because they have to deal with shrinkage. Will the new store put those businesses out of business? Now, I don't mind stores being competitive to the degree that they provide a superior product and their competition winds up having to close because the customers all left that store and went to the other store. What I have a problem with is that if I give the new store $8 million to start up, if I give the new store $50 to start up, that's taxpayer money. Is it right that the taxpayer money should supplement the success of one business while it negatively impacts the other business? Government needs to stay out of that. Picking winners, picking losers. I don't think that's fair. Now, to the degree that you could get all that done without me, fine. But if I have to weigh in on it, that's where I am. I mean, that's where I am. That's my starting point. I can be moved. I just need to hear the argument. This sounds good. And when you tell me it's not going to negatively impact his business, I'm going to call him up on the phone and have him come down to the office so we can all three talk. Because in my mind, the grocery store is necessary to attract business to attract residents to move downtown, because there is no grocery store downtown now. And they don't want to have to move in order for the grocery store to move in. It's kind of like what comes first, chicken or the egg. Well, if you put the grocery store in, then that can become a selling point to downtown redevelopment, where you're going to have all these people moving into this old office space, and you can say, well, look, we have a nice grocery store like a cheese and stuff on steroids, and it serves whole fresh food and wholesome food. It sells 24-point shrimp, nice big thick chunks of salmon and other tender chicken of the sea, and nice big avocados and fresh picked mushrooms, and it's got all this great stuff that no one can afford because it's expensive. Good food is expensive. Just go up to Whole Foods and you find that out real quick. All right, 2 slices of salmon, $15. It's good. It's good salmon. It's not the frozen salmon that never makes it to Whole Foods. It's the salmon that makes it to Save a Lot.
So you want to know what the machine is? Well, let me tell you. The machine is a system of municipal government in Hartford, Connecticut that I refer to as plantation party politics. That plantation is our enemy. But when you're living on the plantation, you look around you. What do you see? You see businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very people whose political minds we are trying to free. But until we do, those people are still part of the plantation, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to free their political minds. And many of them are so inured, so hopelessly dependent on the plantation that they will fight to the death to protect it. Were you listening to me, or are you paying attention to the rewards of the plantation? You see, this spot is produced to teach you one thing. If you are not an independent thinker, then your mind has not been freed from the plantation of party politics. And that means that you are one of them. They are the political operatives of the machine. They can move in and out of any city department, business, nonprofit agency, authority, church, or religious institution that is funded by city, state, or federal dollars, because they are still supported by the political plantation. That means anyone whose mind we have not freed is potentially a political operative of the machine. On the plantation of party politics, they are everyone and they are no one. Independent thinkers have survived by hiding from them, by running from them, by laying in the cut, staying in the shadows. But they are the gatekeepers. They are guarding all the doors. They are holding all the keys. They have all the combinations to all the safes. But sooner or later, someone is going to have to stand up to them and fight them. I won't lie to you. Every single man or woman who has stood their ground, everyone who has fought against the machine or their political operatives, has been fired, transferred, or run out of town. But where they have failed, you, like me, will succeed. Look, I've seen political operatives take jobs away from people's kids. Men have taken them to court, and every single time that they do, they wind up losing everything. Yet their bark and their bite are still based in a world that is built on rules, regulations, favors, and relationships. Because of that, they will never be as strong or as effective as you can be. My name is J. Stan McCauley. I approve this message, and I am an independent thinker. And what I'm trying to tell you is that you won't have to fight the machine or its political operatives if you leave the plantation of party politics and free your political mind. All you have to do to escape is vote on November 5th for an independent thinker. Don't you think it's time to free your political mind? For more information, visit McCauleyformayor.com.
All right. Oh yes, my friends, where else can you have this much fun? All right, I think it's about that time for us to head home. I say that like I'm not home. That's the problem. See, I'm home, so I can't head home. But our time, I think, has evaporated. It's time for us to head to the kitchen. Yeah, cheese and stuff. You all remember cheese and stuff? I remember cheese and stuff is up there where Kinko's is up there by Tizane's and Farmington Avenue. Cheese and stuff. You know, that's how you knew you were upper class when you had cheese and stuff. People put their trash out in cheese and stuff bags. Okay, and you would set that out. Cheese and stuff, because cheese and stuff was expensive. They had cheese and stuff, and then I think they were bought up by Whole Foods, and then Whole Foods was bought up by Amazon. So now you can get your cheese and stuff flown to your house with the Amazon drone, right? I don't know how they're gonna manage all this air traffic. So you're gonna have like Drone Ranger. You're gonna have the Amazon drone. The Amazon drones look like industrial drones. They look like little trucks in the sky. They got like 20 little propellers on the top. And you'll hear them zooming around. Soon it'll look like something out of Star Wars. You just see these things flying all over the place. They'll have controlled airspace and where the drones should be. And I don't know what they're gonna do if there's some sort of network failure that causes the drone to stop, and next thing you know, the drones will be falling out of the sky. These are very critical things. These are things that the city council works on. Licensing drone. Who controls the airspace over Hartford? What is the vertical space? Who has care and control over the upper space of the farm or land which is on the ground, right? Because at the end of the day, everything is a farm. Everything is a farm. Everything is a farm. You have a plot of land, and that plot of land you have a deed to. You don't own it. All right? The municipality owns the land, but you have the deed to the land. All right. So the land that you have a deed to, so, you could farm it. You get like 4 acres. And what are you going to do with 4 acres? Put a building on it, a restaurant, gas station, drill. Maybe there's resources under it, gold, diamonds, platinum, oil. All right. You could plant, opium, hemp, cotton. You could put a nonprofit and use people as cotton. Let me stop. What is this song? Let's take a chance and hear this. I think this song's gonna be a slow song. Yeah. We don't want that song. Well, here's a good song. Yeah, that's a nice song. That's a nice song. That's a happy song. That's a good end the program song. Yeah, that's a good song. My friends, our time together has come to an end. The opportunity for Hartford to do something miraculous is coming Tuesday, November the 5th. It is all about you, Hartford. It ain't about Luke Cronin. It's not about Eddie Perez or Aaron Lewis. It's not about Giselle Jacobs. It's most certainly not about J. Stan McCauley. It's about you, because it's your government. Who do you want to lead your government over the next 4 years? I'm asking you to consider me, J. Stan McCauley. I will be on 1B. You have the potential to make history
like never before. And trust me, when you do, you will not be upset or regretful. Because together we're going to make Hartford the greatest city on earth. We will turn it into New England's rising star. With that, my friends, I'll see you after the election. God bless you. God bless the city of Hartford. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.